Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really embarking on a profound exploration. We're looking into the very essence of identity, the power of language, and, well, the often unseen confines of predefined categories.
hmm
Our source material for this deep dive is a really powerful piece by Dr. Jaime Hoerricks. It's titled Uncontainable. An ADHD GLP responds to the prompt, I am.
Yeah, it's quite something.
And just before we dive in, let's quickly clarify a couple of terms. Dr. Hoerricks identifies as ADHD. That means experiencing both autistic and ADHD neurodivergence.
Right.
And GLP here, in this context, it refers to a gender, language, and power-diverse person. So our mission today is basically to extract the most important insights from Dr. Hoerricks' work.
Yeah, focusing on how our words and the societal structures they kind of exist in.
Exactly. How they either shape or maybe more importantly, fail to shape who we truly are.
hmm
So the big question we're starting with is, okay, what if the very language we use to define ourselves is actually, well, more of a cage than a tool for expression? Let's try and unpack this.
That's precisely the core of it, isn't it? What Dr. Hoerricks invites us to consider. This piece takes something seemingly simple, like just introducing yourself,
Right, we do it all the time.
and reveals the profound, almost like tectonic impact that language and these underlying systems have on our sense of self.
Hmm.
So throughout this deep dive, we'll guide you to understand the intricate nuances of identity, the power found in simply being,
Okay.
and also the unexpected strength that comes from refusal, refusing to fit into those narrow definitions.
Okay, let's start with something super relatable, that ritual of introductions.
Oh, yeah.
You've been there, right? New class, work meeting, some professional gathering, and it's always the same drill. Name, role, maybe a fact or two to make yourself palatable.
Make yourself digestible, yeah.
Dr. Hoerricks makes this fascinating observation that this routine is often, and I'm quoting here, less about who you are than about how quickly you can align yourself with the categories already waiting to receive you. It becomes this associative exercise. You are this, you are not that. It's designed to just slot you in neatly.
It really is a kind of social engineering, isn't it? The pressure is on to demonstrate how well you fit the pre-existing molds.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Hoerricks shares their personal experience within a school culture described as not gentle with difference bullying and dismissiveness run deep.
Oof.
Yet despite this, the author stands out anyway, trans, autistic, foreign in ways that exceed geography. And that's key, not just foreign like from another country, but foreign in system, in tongue, in their very orientation to the world.
So different on multiple levels.
Exactly. It's an inherent divergence that the existing structures really, really struggle to contain.
And this is where language itself becomes so central to the argument, right? The author states quite powerfully that English is the colonial language I was handed, but it is also a cage. What do they really mean by that? A cage.
Well, they elaborate that their internal world, their true thinking, it moves in energy, in images, in gestalts, in currents too wide for grammar to hold.
Wow.
So for them, English is merely what I borrow to make myself legible to others, not what anchors me to myself. It's like a tool for external communication, but it's not the foundation of their being.
Okay, that makes sense. It's borrowed clothing, almost.
Kind of. And what's particularly insightful here is how English, which Dr. Hoerricks notes, is born of empire, sharpened by patriarchy, structured through binaries,
Remember the built-in assumption.
often makes the phrase I am point towards negation. It becomes, as they put it, a cartography of absence, marking blank spaces where being should be. It tends to define you by what you aren't, rather than the fullness of what you are.
That's a really profound idea. So, okay, what does this mean for us, for you listening? As we navigate our own introductions and self-definitions, it sounds like the author isn't saying, okay, just try harder to fit.
No, not at all.
Instead, they invite us to reveal the fracture in the words themselves, to insist on speaking from the gaps, from the absences, from the silences that still breathe beneath conquest. It's about finding power in those very breaks, those moments where the language actually fails.
Precisely. It really challenges us to look beyond just the surface level of self-identification. If our language structures inherently limit how we express ourselves,
Which they seem to argue it does.
then maybe true self-understanding requires us to acknowledge those limitations, and perhaps even speak from the spaces, the gaps they create.
And this idea of language as a tool of containment, it goes beyond just our personal intros, right? Let's look at the dictionary's role. We often think of the dictionary as this, objective record, an archive of all that is.
The final word, so to speak.
Yeah. But the author argues it's more net than mirror and full of holes. It was, after all, curated by men who stitched it together, lexicographers and grammarians, and their choices, consciously or not, reinforced patriarchal categories. Things like man and woman, master and servant, strength and fragility. So it wasn't just a record. It was a deliberate, often biased construction.
Exactly. And this isn't just, an academic point. It has real-world implications. The dictionary's curated definitions shape our collective understanding of reality.
Right.
When certain experiences or ways of being are just left out or devalued in its pages, it contributes to their marginalization in society. It leads to this really powerful question from the source.
Okay.
What would a woman entrusted with the same task have preserved? Would she have carved out ladylike as a standard? Would resilient praise survival without questioning the conditions that demand it?
Now that really makes you think, doesn't it? It forces us to consider the inherent bias in what gets written down as truth and what's just allowed to disappear.
Yeah, the silence left by erasure, as the author calls it.
They note that women's words, they were spoken, passed from hand to hand, whispered in kitchens, woven into rituals, carried in metaphors of blood and cleansing, of birth and loss.
They existed.
They absolutely existed, but they weren't written into the dominant lexicon, the official record. Their absence from the dictionary isn't proof they didn't exist, but maybe proof of deliberate exclusion.
And this is so key. Absence isn't just an empty void. It actually defines the shape of what's missing. Think about negative space in a painting, right? It gives contour to the object itself.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Dr. Hoerricks observes that the existing words break when asked to carry my full weight. Their failure is a reminder that they were never designed to hold me.
So it's not the person failing the words.
Exactly. It's the words failing the person. Which brings us to this beautiful and really impactful Gaelic phrase the author shares. Is mis na chan arain du briothron a get a chumail.
I am that which your words cannot keep contain.
Wow.
Yeah.
That phrase lands really differently, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not about being undefined, but being uncontainable.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this Gaelic phrase, it offers a glimpse of another lexicon. A language not of negation, but of presence, not of containment, but of becoming.
Okay.
It's a statement of inherent, uncontainable being that just transcends the limitations of the dominant language. It suggests a way of being that simply is, regardless of the category someone tries to impose on it.
Okay, so if language and these categories are designed to contain, then where does this perceived void truly live? Dr. Hoerricks says, for so long the void has been projected onto me, illegible, unwoman, unreal.
That feeling of being seen is lacking.
Yeah.
But the source argues that what they call void is not emptiness at all. It's actually the outline of their refusal, the absence of imagination, the absence of care, the absence of words that could have held me.
Whoa. That's a powerful reversal. It is. It shifts the responsibility for that perceived lack from the individual right back onto the system. The perceived void is, in fact, a reflection of the system's own limitations, not some inherent lack in the individual.
And the author uses this fantastic analogy explaining how patriarchy functions. Quote, it declares itself the center and builds categories so narrow that anyone outside them appears as nothing.
Right.
It's just like those old colonial maps calling vast, lived-in lands terra nullius, empty ground, just because it wasn't recognized by the colonizer's framework. The map isn't reality. It's a projection of power.
Exactly. And this raises an important question. What happens when someone doesn't fit those narrow categories? The author mentions how autism, especially in women, is folded into this negation. To the patriarch's eyes, I am a malfunctioning NPC. And for anyone unfamiliar, an NPC is a non-player character from a video game. Basically a background figure without real agency.
It's a really dehumanizing way to categorize someone.
Totally. It dismisses any form of being that doesn't fit the predetermined mold, treating divergence like it's an error rather than just a unique presence.
But the absence, the author really stresses this, is not theirs. It is theirs. It is the hole in their imagination, the void in their cosmology, the dead pixel in the program they mistook for reality.
What an image.
Isn't it? The idea that their system, their map of reality, has a fundamental flaw, and that flaw is their inability to see what truly is.
Precisely. And this section concludes by emphasizing that the author's body, mind, their very being, actively breaks these categories. Their presence is not their negation. I am the reminder that their map was never complete, their lexicon never whole, their world never universal.
Okay.
Essentially, I am the space where their imagination ended and something larger began. Which leads us to another really potent Gaelic phrase, one that deeply resonates with this idea of shifting the burden of absence.
Okay, what is it?
Shani misalet richt, acto asalt richt buam.
I am not out presence, but your absence from me. It's incredibly profound. It completely flips the script on who's defining whom. It's not that the individual is lacking.
No.
It's that the system lacks the capacity to see them.
Exactly. It's a declaration of self-possession, really, and a refusal to internalize the system's limitations.
Okay, so let's pivot slightly. Let's turn to the concept of a rich, multifaceted identity, really pushing back against this idea of being defined by lack. Dr. Hoerricks highlights how patriarchy consistently framed womanhood as not men, not public, not strong. Basically, a category built by subtraction.
Right. Always defined by what it wasn't in relation to the default man.
Exactly. Never its own positive thing.
In stark contrast, the author claims abundance, contradiction, cycle, a body that speaks in tides, a self that refuses to stay still. This explicitly rejects that singular reductive definition. It embraces a dynamic, expansive self. It's a move from seeing deficit to celebrating richness.
And here's where the author paints such a vivid picture, making this concept beautifully concrete. They describe their experience on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, noting a unique rhythm. Crescendos of emotion, bone-deep weariness, sudden bursts of joy, a heaviness that feels lunar. And crucially, not mimicry of menstruation, not counterfeit, but its own cycle, undeniable, consuming, alive.
Wow.
Proof that multitudes belong to us all, cis and trans alike. It's just such a powerful testament to the sheer variety of human experience, way beyond any narrow boxes we try to create.
It really broadens our understanding of what it means to be, to feel, to embody a cycle, doesn't it? It's a profound illustration of how human experience inherently defies reduction.
Yeah.
And further, the author offers another really striking image. Picture them on a late summer afternoon, stepping out in a sundress and flats, catching my own reflection in a window and smiling.
Okay.
My legs and backside are carved by years of Highland Games training. My shoulders are broad, my curls spring free, shoulders wide, curls wild, body unapologetically mine walking into the world radiant.
That's a great image.
And the piece then asks pointedly, what becomes of patriarchy when such a woman strides confidently into view? Their categories collapse into farce.
Yeah, it just embodies this vibrant, unapologetic presence that completely dismantles those fragile, restrictive boxes.
It truly does. This example powerfully illustrates that to be woman is not to be one thing. It is to be many things at once, to hold multitudes without apology. It's about finding truth and strength in contradiction, not seeing it as confusion, embracing the full, complex spectrum of being. And the author offers another potent Gaelic phrase to summarize this abundance. Is mi seyomedacht far and du de fog iad aiched amhain.
Which means?
It means, I am abundance, manifoldness, overflowing plurality, where they left only negation, denial, repudiation, and erasure of being.
That's such a defiant statement of existence. Powerful.
It is. It's an insistence on a vibrant, multifaceted truth that was deliberately ignored or erased by those narrow categories.
Okay, so now let's broaden our discussion out a bit to a larger societal scale. The author introduces this idea of the uncharted terrain on your colonial map. They identify as the unregistered, uncharted, not inscribed wilderness, untamed beyond their measure, that which they cannot capture or hold. It's such a deeply resonant metaphor for refusing to be contained by external definitions.
Absolutely. And it connects directly to how, historically, colonizers drew the world, didn't they? In halves, civilized and savage, center and margin, man and woman.
Right. Always these binary.
Always. Every line carried the same logic.
Yeah.
One side dominant, the other subordinate. And anything that couldn't be controlled or understood was simply declared void. Like you mentioned before, applying that terra nullius empty ground concept to human experience itself.
But, and this is the key, the author reminds us the map was the lie. The core revelation from the text is that the land was never empty. It was lived in all along. They just shaded out entire continents of experience, smoothed over cycles and contradictions, drew borders where life actually flowed freely. The map wasn't reality. It was a tool of control, a manufactured fiction.
And the author states they live where their map phrase. Their very being is not an exception to their world, It is the reminder that their world was always partial, always built on erasure.
So being called uncharted
Is not to be void. It is to be possibility, to be evidence that their claim was never universal. It's a really profound statement of inherent presence, challenging the very foundations of those controlling systems.
And there's this image. When the author strides past the borders they drew, the parchment does not really tear. It burns at the edges, curls into ash.
Wow.
Their compass spins uselessly, pointing them always toward conquest, never toward truth. It's just such a vivid image of resistance, showing the fundamental instability and ultimate collapse of these imposed systems when confronted by actual, lived reality.
And this isn't just about personal identity anymore, is it? It's a powerful critique of larger systems of power. The author offers this profound summary. What they named wilderness was home. What they named void was life. What they named unreal has always been here, breathing, unmoved by their maps, unstoppable by their lines. Not rebellion in the margins, but a full assault upon the fiction that they ever owned the world at all. It's a complete reassertion of self and reality against that fiction.
And we have our final Gaelic phrase for this deep dive, which really brings this section to a powerful close. Is mis an tir neoclarechte am fasach nach rein am mappa colonid aka aklakad.
Which means?
I am the unregistered, uncharted, not inscribed wilderness, untamed, beyond their measure, that which they cannot capture hold. A truly uncontainable declaration. Just wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot to consider, isn't it? So to briefly recap the key insights from this deep dive, we've explored this powerful concept that refusal itself can become a form of cartography.
Mapping yourself differently.
It's a deliberate act of mapping oneself beyond the boundaries others have tried to draw.
Indeed. We've seen how language, which we often perceive as neutral, can actually be a potent tool of classification and sometimes erasure. Yet Dr. Hoerricks shows us that by marking those fractures, leaving them visible,
Not hiding them.
by courageously embracing what is uncontainable, we actually reveal a path to a much more expansive and, frankly, authentic understanding of self and the world around us. It's about finding strength in the very places where systems try to erase or diminish us.
And this brings us back to the significance of Gaelic in the piece. Dr. Hoerricks mentions it offers a spaciousness English does not, describing it as a language less tethered to conquest that allows one to unfurl, where English makes one wrestle.
That's a great distinction. Unfurl versus wrestle.
Yeah. Think about how English sometimes struggles, right, to define non-normative identities. The example given is saying female bassist, because just bassist alone often defaults to a masculine assumption in many people's minds.
Right, creating that clumsy placeholder.
Exactly, instead of just a natural descriptor. Gaelic in this piece seems to offer a different way to conceptualize identity, one that maybe avoids some of those impositions.
And I think this whole deep dive has really been an invitation, hasn't it? To recognize that the world has always been larger than their measure, more abundant than their words could hold.
Definitely.
The author claims the fracture, the clumsiness, the refusal, not as weaknesses, not as signs of an incomplete identity, but as evidence that another world exists already here, now. It's really a call to acknowledge this inherent richness that lies beyond reduction, beyond the limits of any single dominant system.
So, as we close this deep dive, we really want to leave you, the listener, with this powerful question. It's straight from Dr. Hoerricks, something to mull over long after our conversation ends.
Okay.
Who are you beyond their categories? What echoes and absences shape you? What words have failed you, and what words might yet be born? I have shown you part of my map. Now I want to see yours. Tell me who you are, really.
That's a powerful invitation.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this profound deep dive into Uncontained, Mapping Identity Beyond Language's Limits. We genuinely hope this conversation sparks some new insights for you and maybe inspires you to explore your own uncharted terrain.